Twisted people, it's your Twisted girl here, Chauncey K. Robinson, aka Twisted CKR, and today I am doing a review of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022, aka the not remake, not reboot, but actually a sequel to the original, one of my faves, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 takes place nearly 50 years after the original, and well, Leatherface is back under some interesting circumstances, and you can be sure that blood and gore follows, and maybe even some messaging too. Overall, it's a fun horror film with some gory bites and a little bit of messaging to go in there as well. And it has been really polarizing. So here are 3 reasons why you should watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 and 3 reasons why you should not. 3 reasons why you shouldn't watch the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If you're expecting some reinvented, all-new Texas Chainsaw Massacre formula, then you will be disappointed. There is no reinventing the wheel here. People show up at a place, Leatherface comes out, people are killed. It's very straightforward, pretty simple. And if you're looking for something a little bit more, more than that, then you probably will be disappointed in this. If you're looking for clear-cut characters, aka these are the good guys, these are the bad guys, this is the final girl, this is the final boy, this is the monster, oh my gosh, I know who I want to root for, you will also be disappointed because there are so many gray characters. I personally enjoyed the fact that there were great characters, that there were certain characters where there were elements of them that I enjoyed and elements of them that I did not. But not everyone likes that. Some people like to know who they should really be rooting for and who's really the crappy person and who's really the jerk and who's really the angel. Personally, I think we're at a point in these times where we should be past that and that we should understand that honestly, it makes for better storytelling when there's a little bit of grayness in the characters and they're not so cookie cutter. But if you're looking for something that's a little bit more clear cut, and aka maybe just that all the characters are likable, then you probably won't like this. Even the characters you may root for, you may honestly look at them in retrospect and say, they're not very likable, or should I be rooting for them? Maybe I shouldn't. A long film. You are not going to find that here either. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre Netflix version sequel comes in at about, I believe, close to an hour and a half, maybe even a little less than an hour and a half. And personally, I am completely okay with that. I think this movie does not overstay its welcome. It doesn't need to. Like I said, the formula is quite simple. And I think if you had some 2-hour or more epic type of journey or something, it would be convoluted. It would have to be stuffed with a whole bunch of extra backstory and all that other jazz just to try to fill it in, and it didn't really need that. But if you're looking for something where you can kind of settle in and you got a couple of hours, a Marvel movie or something like that, you're not going to get that here either. 3 reasons to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. It's in the same spirit as its original. I really enjoyed how this movie, it had the blood, it had the gore, but there was also messaging in there. As someone who really enjoyed the original, how it is one of my favorite horror films, and one of the reasons why it is my favorite horror film is because of the fact that yes, there's blood, there's gore, there's a slasher with the chainsaw who likes to wear the skin of his victims, but there's also messaging there. And I know that can be hard to see because, there's this idea of if it's messaging, it must be woke or something like that, because woke has somehow taken on a really polarizing sort of thing about it. But the thing is, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre had messaging in it that might, hate to say it, be or hate to tell you this, it might have been considered, or called or accused of being woke. And there was nothing wrong with that, in the sense that if you're looking at it in the sense of it has messaging in it, then it definitely had messaging in it. And the messaging of the original was the question of propaganda, the look at what happens when people are left destitute, when big companies, meatpacking places up and leave people without income, and what they may turn to and things like that, along with the blood and the fun gore, right? But this new one, it kind of plays on that, but more so fast forward. There's themes of gentrification in here. And what is gentrification? And is gentrification good, or is it kind of crappy? But the thing is, it's kind of a gray area, right? Sometimes gentrification helps bring businesses and things like that to a place, and other times it pushes people out, and sometimes it does that at the same exact time. And this is an example of the theme you might be dealing with when you watch this movie. And it's not necessarily bludgeoning you over the top of the head. Don't worry, Leatherface does that to enough people in this film, but it's there. And, I think that's really great. And despite what some people may say is some kind of agenda being inserted into the Texas Chainsaw legacy, well, it's always had messaging in it, and this new movie really does follow in the spirit of that, of having some sort of messaging, even if it's not overt, because it's definitely not overt. Believe you me, the gore and the blood takes precedence over everything else, but it's there, and I like it. Great kills. They do not skimp on the gore and the kills, and the kills are just, sometimes when you have an older movie, a lot of times I feel like older movies, particularly horror movies, were really great when it came to practical effects. I so appreciate the practical effects of things like The Thing and Mouth of Madness, and insert, a Wes Craven film here. And I would argue that some of the newer movies kind of lean a little bit too much on CGI, which kind of take you out of it, because it's kind of like, yeah, that's totally computerized. And I really appreciated how the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this new one, 2022, it was very practical. I felt when bones cracked. I felt when people's things got slashed in various areas. I felt that because I saw it, and it was gruesome and it was visceral. There's a little bit of CGI there where you're kind of like, okay, that maybe be more than just makeup and special effects, but it wasn't so glaring. And finally, if Halloween Kills disappointed you, this won't. And the only reason, before people get their pitchforks at me, Evil Dies Not, is the fact that I compare it to the fact that this sequel deals with the idea of a killer who comes back years, decades later after their Ring of Terror some years ago. This one, almost 50 years later. And, Halloween Kills dealt with the fact of Michael Myers kind of coming back. And also you had their adversaries also coming back in this. So there's parallels here. There's just parallels that you're not going to be able to avoid. And I'm going to honestly say, if I had to pick which one did it better, I'm going to say this Texas Chainsaw Massacre did it better. It kept it simple. It wasn't convoluted. I was disappointed at the end of Halloween Kills. So if you were, then this movie might rectify that. If you had similar issues with the way that movie played out. If you are looking for a movie that plays on the nostalgia of a movie that you loved, but then takes it somewhat to a different, height, and new chapters added to its saga without convoluting it and without adding extra frills that just seem unnecessary, then you will enjoy this movie. Okay, Twisted people, let me know if you watched the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Comment down below if you agree with my 3 reasons for and 3 reasons against this film. And also, let me know if you really enjoyed this one, or if there were previous Texas Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface films that you enjoyed better. Until then, keep it creepy.